probably shouldn't say surprisingly, but it definitely came as a surprise to me. 9.2.5 is just a win across the board for them. I'm as shocked as you are, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I saw people, being like, oh, yeah, game's broke because of, like, the pandemic, but that was fixed pretty
Well, yeah,
pretty
well, I
quickly.
mean, the game is just broke. The game is
It's perpetually exploding.
I continually, connect it in my head to Blighttown.
Yeah.
It's just Blighttown in video game form. It works most of the time. Some of the rickety bits are kind of the part of the charm now, but it works surprisingly well, to be honest.
Look at this. This is pretty much you opening the pre-made group finder.
Quite
Nice one.
Basically, literally, yeah. almost genuinely, literally.
Yeah.
Especially because I have the fucking weirdest playtime habits where it will just be like, I'll go home and I'll be working late. I'll come home. I'll do something and I'll be playing like Rogue Legacy for an hour or two. And then my brain will be like, what the fuck are you doing playing Rogue Legacy 2? You've played this for 50 hours. Go away. Do something. And I'm like, right, I'll go to bed. And then I open World of Warcraft at 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, right, sweet. And there's no groups to do an M+. Fantastic.
You're a fucking demon for the Mythic Plus.
I'm not. I don't do it that much. I try to do it more than I do, but also I do it like every now and again. Like, oh, fuck, this is so unrewarding. Please give me loot, please. Let's see. The first 4 Mythic Pluses I did. Time for probability.
Story time with Matt.
Yeah, probability go, right? You have a 40% chance of getting loot when you finish a Mythic Plus dungeon in time, assuming you're doing 15 or below and not like a 20 and timing it and stuff. 4 Mythic Pluses, the first 4 I did in my Paladin. I remember the first 4 very clearly. 1 bit of loot. So that's a 25% chance. Small sample size, of course. But the loot was a bit of shoulders. That's where my legendary is. So I did 4 Mythic Plus, and it is ultimately an effective 0% loot.
Fuck you.
That's how I do feel that way.
That's a weird thing. It's like, yeah, loot happens in an MMO,
Yeah.
but it also feels really bad when it feels like that.
Yeah.
It's tricky. A lot of other games do go out of their way to be a lot more rewarding feeling.
Yeah, it's wild, yeah.
Yeah, but what you experience is like just a humongous amount more, groups that you could do M+ with.
Yeah, and that has been, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? In terms of time, this isn't, because I was doing this before, and I talked about the loot efficiency of Mythic Plus versus Raid, and how Mythic Plus is way faster. And I was like using like a 20-something minute time, because obviously you average out the like longer ones with the Mystic Turn of Scythe, which you can nuke out in like 10, 12, 15 minutes, basically. But when you add travel time, it's not massive, but it is there, especially when you've got the wormhole. But when you add finding a group time, when you're not playing a tank, or it's a bad time, or your alliance on Ravencrest, then it starts to be hours.
Yeah.
It starts to be, I've done 30 minutes of dungeon in about 45 minutes, in about 50 minutes, in about 60 minutes. And then that starts to like cut your efficiency down by half. And then you spend an entire evening getting like 3. You're like, fuck, please. But it's going away because cross-faction good.
Yeah. So that's actually pretty big for the playability of that system. Not for all the Horde people, but for many people, like more than the Alliance.
For sure.
So yeah, big, actually quite big.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Wizard have added Season 3, Mythic Plus, and BOE PvP boxes. I assumed they were there.
No.
What? But they were there for Season 2. Were they not?
They weren't there at launch, right?
Yeah, it was added in
Yeah.
like 9.1.5, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did-
Bit of lag.
Bit of lag, I suppose.
So
So you've got the... Oh, I suppose maybe they do just consider this to be more of a catch-up feature midway through a season for starting a new alt.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, right, you've got the equipment chest, which contains a piece of 236 Mythic 0 gear, and if you have an M+ rating of above 1500, you can send those to your alts, and the cosmic equipment chest for PvP, which is the same, but with Conquest and a 1400 rating. There is a bit of a change, though, since this last happened. Last time, Conquest and Valor were capped.
Yeah, that's not.
Now they are not capped, which I think fundamentally changes how this feels.
Yes.
Because you could cap your Valor so quickly. It just makes me think that the people who run loads and loads and loads of Mythic Plus are going to have so much more Valor potentially anyway, that something like this could be like a way more useful tool for the alts.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward because 236 feels like a really weak starting point just because you can... What's the item level of bot gear? 230? 236? Something. Anyway, you can basically have close enough to 236 completely for... Not for free, but, you know, kind of out of the box. And Valor... 500
upgrades.
Yeah,
that's a lot of Valor for those upgrades.
It's a lot expensive. It's a lot of Valor to upgrade them. It's also... This is a lot of Valor for you to get some useful fucking items because this is one piece of gear for 500 Valor.
Yeah.
Where's it going to roll? Who knows? Have you just opened 2,000 Valor worth of boxes and they're all for your legendary slots? Go and fuck yourself.
Hang on. TJ does bring something up here. This means you can effectively purchase a bunch of these tokens in your main, send them over to your alt, and convert any tier slot gear into tier pieces without even needing to do the content.
Yeah.
So technically, this is a way where you can just get some tier. I mean, of course, you could get unlucky with the rolls. Another good thing, though, is because, yep, they're uncapped, so you can just get a set of this and then slowly upgrade the gear, you know, as you play, as your score on that character goes up. But unfortunately, the Mythic Plus score thresholds to upgrade gear are not a compound. So that you can see, therefore, that this really is designed for kind of getting you started with a full kit of gear, or at least more of a kit of gear on a fresh character.
Well, I think that, because obviously, you know, Dakor says, unfortunately, I think Mythic score for upgrades being tied to a character makes complete sense.
I could see that.
As much as I'm sure there are a lot of people who are like super skilled on like generalists and can play basically any class to a decent level of efficiency. Like, I mean, I kind of can because I've been playing every class on and off since Legion. Turns out class halls give you a reason to play loads of stuff, believe it or not, and the Mage Tower as well. But not everyone can be like that. And I think the idea of, hey, I'm a warrior tank and I've got, you know, 2,000 plus Mythic score. I can just get a load of gear and immediately join into like 15s and whatever above on a healer. That's not going to work. It'll work for some people, but it's not going to work for everyone. And it would be a bad experience overall. So fair enough.
Yeah, it would degrade what the rating means.
Yeah.
Because if someone has a rating of like 2,000, you know they have that on that character.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. There's loads of encrypted files still. Pre-order bonuses.
Yeah, it's going to be... Maybe. Oh, yeah, that's actually the thing I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about the like Reforged news and the alpha timing and like this is the big win period of time for Blizzard. They could just hit pre-orders at any point, go, here's a bunch of new Dragonflight info and pre-order. And the pre-order has all this cool stuff in it. So like they could do that, which is be part of the big win. Yeah,
so we just, like Keyboard Turn, just highlighted some of this. So there's an item set that came in 9.2.5. There's an item set 8.3.0.
Oh, the BlizzCon.
Huh. Wow. 5 mount bundle came in 9.25. Holy shit, that's a lot of mounts. Like that's more than a pre-order bonus, right? Mount plus pet plus items again came in 9.2.5. Maybe that sounds like the expansion pre-order. Mount 9.2.5. A pet, all 9.2, 9.25, and then some sort of back item maybe in 9.1.5. So that's a shitload of stuff, which I basically just assume means the store, and maybe some of this, because you look at that and it's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff that hasn't came out. Maybe it's the case that, you know, the business side, they kind of had one view how things would turn out. On the development side, maybe it hasn't been as optimistic, right? And perhaps that means there's a bunch of assets that are in the game ready to go on sale, but they're not ready to sell them yet. I think that would kind of make sense.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. There's also, who said it? I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the Frankenberry just said, WoW Classic Deluxe. So one of these would be Wrath stuff as well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah, you can get your own Invincible. Invincible 2. It's better. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
they wouldn't.
It would be funny, though.
But they would, though. They definitely would. No, they wouldn't.
If they could, they would, but they know they can't.
Exactly.
Surely.
Yeah, they would, but the artist who's supposed to make it would revolt. I hope.
Well, good news is you can save 30% off select in-game services. Basically, right, the server changes and faction changes, the 1 and 2 character options are 30% off, and now the 6 character option costs the same amount of money, but it moves 8 characters.
Which is very strange, I have to say, from the perspective of, you know, someone who is... How do I put this?
$95 to move 6 characters faction.
Yeah. So from the perspective of someone who's very cynical about how shops work, especially in video games, and basically almost had an aneurysm playing Diablo Immortal, plus 800% value, plus 570% value. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that number made up? Yeah. But like looking at this is like that, because I opened the shop and I saw the 30% sale. I was like, oh, big sale, happy. I obviously don't care. I'm not going to use this. But you know, my brain just went, oh, happy, clicky. But then the 8 one looked like a bad deal because there's no display that this is like a special deal.
Yeah.
They just changed it from saying 6 to 8 with no marker. So it looks like it's the worst option of the 3, but it's actually the best and, you know, most efficient. But you have to calculate that yourself. And I was thinking, that's a very amateur mistake for a Blizzard marketer to use or to fall prey of. I'd expect them to make sure that's the most prominent item in the store, that's the most value. But they just didn't.
Well, if I wanted to move my characters off Draenor and over to Alliance on Ravencrest, it would be a delicious $175 or something.
Don't.
Certainly beats what it would have cost in the past, but still, ouch. I remember at one point I worked that, I was like, okay, this is just 400 quid. I am not doing that. Funny.
Yeah, I still think that, like, this is... More than anything else, this is the worst case of... We have made a problem, we've manufactured a problem, we'll sell you the answer. Obviously, I understand, you know, different monetization, but this is like Matanza said, move kilobytes of data, cost $90.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Well, it's about the value to you, not to them.
Yeah, which is, you know, you go, well, that's bullshit, and then you think about store mounts as well. You're like, yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's all pixels you pay for, database entries you pay for.
Surprising everyone, we are a captive audience.
Yeah.